I want attacking, purposeful football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And Foot's player back in front.
I don't know about you guys, but if I see one bloke walking out of here, give the pat on the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
From inside the centre square, Boydie kicked the goal. Boydie kicked the goal from inside the centre.
Hello.
Tom Boyd, Danny McGinlay.
How are you, mate?
Oh, yeah, I'm really happy with technology. It's going well. We set it up to record anyway.
There's so few things that are as anger-inducing as speaking and people not being able to hear you. It's very disempowering.
Yes, especially when that other person always blames my end of technology. Long-time listeners will know Boydie will never accept that the technological issue could be on his side, even though he is in the dark lands of Western Australia where internet is yet to be invented.
Well, it is actually raining at the moment too, so maybe there's sort of like some mining-induced radioactivity.
There we go. This is good theories. I like this. Why are you in Perth?
I have a breakfast event tomorrow morning, which should be very good. I will say I actually got very against Perth for a little while.
Yeah.
For good reasons, even though we did have some good days over here. Not many, admittedly, but one in particular. And then I was forced to sort of come back for a conference earlier in the year. And it's come a long way, Perth.
Has it?
It's come a long way. Sort of just exiting the sort of Stone Ages, now into the Bronze Age or whatever it is that comes after it. It's really progressing quickly. So
it is, but this is an emergency podcast for all our listeners about the big news that we sort of predicted in last week's episode, that our coach Luke Beveridge would be re-announced for us all. 2 more years of Bevo, and of course it happened after our first really bad loss of the year. When do you reckon this deal was actually made, Boydie?
I would say, like most things, that you spend 20% of the time negotiating 80% of the deal, and then you spend 80% of the time dealing with all of the little bits and pieces that people haggle over at the end. So it's probably been at least a couple of months process. More than likely, they would have obviously had brief discussions over the Christmas break and into the preseason, and both agreed. Well, essentially, the club would have said, "Hey, we're not going to do anything until we sort of see what the finished product is for the year ahead." And I think the Patreon members would have heard us talk about this a couple of weeks ago. Was more than anything, I think Bevo's proven this year that he has the ability to reignite our more younger members of the squad, to unlock actually their capability and to continue to develop them as players. And we've got some absolute young stars in there that are going to give us a really good opportunity to be successful, not only in the years to come, but in the much further years to come after that. So I think the list is in a really good spot. I think Bevo's obviously proven that he has now taken that next step into developing the next wave of players. And as Dogs fans, now that this deal is done, all that we can do is hope and pray and cross our fingers that that's going to continue, and that the new or returned, improved version of Bevo that seems to be dealing with things so well sustains itself for the next few years.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's all puppy dogs and ice cream after last Thursday?
What about that? Did you see that comment that he made at the press conference?
Which one specifically?
Well, after the game, they said, was turnovers were an issue, basically. And he goes, turnovers. Some of it was a bit of a surprise. But in some cases, with some personnel, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cold.
Dude, that's so cold. That is like back to the Bevo at its finest sort of stuff.
Should we be worried?
I don't know who that's. Yeah, I'm not sure who that's aimed at. Any guesses?
Well, no, we're not in the room. Well, I mean, this will surprise the fans. I've not rewatched a microsecond of last Thursday's game. I was there. I saw it live. It was horrible. Why would I endure that upon myself? Look, I love you, listeners, but not enough to force me to do that. Just to give you a little bit more of an uninformed insight than you're going to get from me there. No, I don't know. Was he having a dig at Bont?
No, with someone behind the ball, I think he was in reference to. But regardless, we're not here to shame anyone or put anyone's name, drag anyone's name into disrepute, as the AFL world likes to use that word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly think that we're sort of at that stage where, to your point, and a very poignant question is that, is Bevo going to be able to sustain this youthful exuberance, for want of a better word or term, that he seems to have found, if it continues to have these frustrating and very winnable games go against us? Because at the end of the day, we're sort of we're 4 or 5 games shy of where we could have been.
Mm-hmm.
We're 2 or 3 games shy of where we absolutely should have been, and we find ourselves sort of giving other teams who are far less talented and capable than us the chance to put us under the pump, which is not good.
No, it does seem that if we are going into a phase of angry Bevo, which is never good for the club, it's come at the worst possible time with this re-signing happening today. Jeez, should we also just talk about, I think we need a new word for that hyphen does more work than anything else. Resigns and re-signs, polar opposite words, one dash. We need a new word.
It's like the perfect culmination of how the English language is difficult, embodied in one specific word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to your point, it literally means both the positive and the negative at the same time.
It's like flammable and inflammable.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It's
and
absolutely
the one we
insane.
got to drop is Bevo has re-signed. We got to drop resign. Resign. That doesn't make any sense. Why would resign be? I guess you re-sign to another job, but no, you quit. I think now let's just ban for the rest of forever resigning as you just quit a job. You got to say you just quit.
It doesn't make any sense. It should be like, it's like X sign.
Yeah, unsigned.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unsigned. There you go. Well, it's sort of unsigned sort of makes it sound like they had a choice in them.
Well,
Which
no,
I suppose
resigning.
they do in some cases.
There's a difference between resigning and quitting, and unsigning. Anyway, we're clearly getting onto the thing. What do you know?
What's so interesting about this situation, though, to your point, is presumably there was some level of intrepidation. Let's just call it a meet and Kylie, right? Because I'm sure obviously there's other people involved in this re-signing.
Yes.
But presumably they had 2 or 3 weeks ago, they go, yep, we're going to do it. He's the right man for the job. And they probably actually felt like a weight off their shoulders. You know what I mean? Like it would have been quite liberating to go, great, we can just put this line of questioning to bed. We said we're going to do it in the bye. We're ready to do it. Now it's just all about dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And then we have the last few weeks on the field. And there's this sinking feeling of I'm not as confident as what I was 3 weeks ago when we agreed on this. It must be challenging to stay in the right frame of reference and not be so captured by the last 14 days.
Yeah. This is the challenge for anyone involved in footy, and something that I definitely can't do. So this is why I'm not on the board or a CEO or anything. Because
You're right. That's the only reason.
I would have snatched that contract out of his hand after last Thursday and go, no, you get nothing. You win me some games before I even. You can't even use my Kilometrico pen.
Yeah, it is a strange place to be. But having said that, in a way, at least from a fixture point of view, it couldn't have come at a better time in the sense that it's all on us from here. There's no excuses really. Based on our next 4 games or whatever it is, there's really no excuse for us not to really challenge for a top 4 spot. And if we're good enough, we'll get it. And if we're not, we won't, which is actually kind of a nice place to be because at times you sort of have things going against you. maybe you have a hard fixture at the wrong time. We discussed this on last week's pod. I really do think that it's like this is as black and white, cut and dry as it possibly gets. Either the Bulldogs are good enough this year to challenge for the top four or they're not, and they've got it all laid out in front of them to do it in a relatively simple way. Not to say it's going to be easy, but at least it's simple.
So do you reckon 2 years was actually, it sounds like the best call because, okay, if things go badly and we don't even, we can still miss finals this year. He's still been blooding the youth so much that top four next year it's very, very doable.
Well, I think the 2 year thing, honestly, like it comes back to the negotiation, right? I think one thing to consider here is that in every negotiation, you've got to give and take a little bit. And in the case of a coach re-signing, well, for a club, the best possible thing really is for the coach to only ever sign 1 year deals over and over and over again.
Yes.
Right? Because it gives them flexibility, it gives them accountability, it gives them pressure, leverage, et cetera, but for a coach, they want, I don't think Bevo wants the longest deal possible. I don't think Bevo went in there asking for 5 or anything like that. But certainly from a life point of view, Bevo wants some stability because it might sound, contrary to popular belief, but like if Bevo loses the Bulldogs coaching role, it's not like he's just going to walk into the same role at the same salary somewhere else.
No.
That's it's almost impossible that that's going to happen.
Yeah, he'd have to does he even need a job? And we don't know how much, you get paid and everything. He could just retire, go to the beach, live with Ange Postecoglou in Greece. But he could also, there's jobs of like director of football at some fancy private school. You could, be a consultant. Maybe he'll just do surfing lessons. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, the fees that they've discussed about Bevo's contract are like $800,000 or something. That he was getting per year. So again, it's sort of to your point. Yes. Look, Bevo's not going to starve if he loses the Bulldogs job, regardless. But it's not like he can just plan out his life and be like, "Yep, this is just going to continue above and beyond even this year." Before obviously having the 2 year extension. So I think during that process, obviously Luke and the club are going back and forth, going, "Hey, what should we do? Should we do this? Should we do that? I want this." And the club goes, "Well, we don't feel comfortable with that." And they land at this 2 year point in the middle. And what I'm really interested in, and I'm not sure we'll ever know the answer, but I wonder if there was ever any performance incentives offered towards Bevo, being like, "Hey, we've got a 2 year extension for you, but you've got to win X amount of games in the first 18 months." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To actually trigger that extension. Or whether that was just completely off the table. And obviously, as a coach, I'm not sure you want to sign up for something like that because there's a lot of things that are out of your control at the end of the day. So it's fantastic for the club that it's happened. I've said my piece on this, countless times on this podcast, that I've been very critical of some of the decisions that Bevo's made. In recent times, the clear trend that I see is of improvement, and in particular, the wins in our sales is improvements of the young players. And I really just hope that getting this deal off the table and worrying about it, stopping worrying about it, actually clears the air a little bit and maybe gives them a little bit of a fresh breath of air heading into the last half of the year.
I mean, is there ever a thought that, when people sack a coach, there's usually a win straight after? What if we just sacked Bevo and then brought him back every second week and we just have a celebrity fill-in coach for 1 week that we sack, no matter if we win, lose or draw? We just sack them and then we get the dead coach bounce every single week.
Well, have we used our Tom Liberatore card yet? I think we have, haven't we?
Not for this year, I don't think.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but maybe that's what we do.
We got the Bont one. So maybe if we lose on Thursday night, obviously we don't want to. Of course, Bont will be announced to have re-signed.
But what is what you're saying? Maybe what we do is that each week we announce something that may or may not happen. That is incredibly good news for Bulldogs fans, right? So here's what I'm thinking: you announce Bevo's re-signing, great,
cool.
Then we announce next week that Sam Darcy is going to be playing at the Bulldogs until he's 50.
Okay, yep.
And then whilst we announce that, we actually sack Bevo.
Right.
And then we re-sign him the next week, and then we take Sam Darcy's contract back to like 4 years, and we just alternate between good and bad throughout the whole season, and we just ride the positive wave of bad news whilst also simultaneously offsetting it with the good news.
All right. I think this
then we
is
get the best of all worlds.
It's a good plan, but we need to just see if what happens on Thursday night, because the opposite of a dead coach bounce is, he's extended his contract, so maybe we'll lose to St Kilda. I mean, that's just cold hard science. If you win after you sack a coach, of course you're going to lose that. Therefore, then we need to implement this this strategy that you've just thought of.
I always do get the heebie-jeebies about St Kilda.
Yeah.
It's never a fun feeling because it's like,
15,
it's like
16.
arguing, I've actually got the perfect analogy, right?
All right.
It's like arguing with an idiot. No one can tell the difference.
And they bring you down to their level and beat you with experience.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I feel like that's a little bit what to expect in the upcoming game.
I feel that's what Hawthorn did to us on Thursday. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, we've moved on. I think we can't mention that club's name for the next 6 to 8 weeks.
No, okay, that's fair enough. I'm happy to do that. I will tell you this though. I don't know if we mentioned it on Friday. There was a bit of a miscommunication with the banner last week, but this week we almost got one of the dumbest banners of the years up. And I don't like talking about the banners on free to wear, but I just feel that this one was so, and it got approved, and then they decided to go for a different option, which I think the option we've gone with is actually the more accurate of how the fans feel right now. But do you remember what my banner was on Easter Sunday when we played the Saints and it was Bont's first game of the year?
Not explicitly.
It's Easter Sunday, Bont returns, not a coincidence.
Yes, great banner.
And according to all rumours, Sam Darcy will be playing on Thursday. So I looked up what the 12th of June is for public holidays in the world. So the banner almost said, it's Philippines Independence Day, Darcy returns, this one is a coincidence.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Can you imagine the confusion in the stadium, though, for all the fans?
Oh, yeah, I know. But this is sort of one of those, inside jokes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Inside voice outside.
We almost got it up. But no, the one they've gone for is actually pretty good.
And next week, I know what we're talking about on the Patreon, actually.
What's that?
We're talking about everything that's wrong with football media next week.
That's a long episode.
Well, I did some work on it this morning on the plane because I was sitting in a plane to Perth and I was thinking about all things that are frustrating. And you're right. It cranked out a 5,000 word piece all on the same thing.
Oh, all right. Hey, this is exciting. All right. That's next week, is it?
Next week we'll do that.
All right. This is great.
Well, and hopefully we have lots of positive things to say.
Of course
about the Dogs.
Yes, next week. And we're going to be in person, I think. We've done too many online phone ones. We've got to get in the same room.
Yeah, I'm particularly in travel mode at the moment, which has made it very difficult. But yes, we shall figure it out.
Yes. Sweet. All right. Well, is there any other news? I've got to, hey, we always promise a gigs fact for everyone. So this is this week's gigs fact. It's just about playing the Saints. Just know that when we play St Kilda on June 12th, how many times in history do you reckon it's happened?
3.
1.
Wow.
And we are undefeated. 1 game, 1 win. 2004, we were 15 points down at halftime. We won by 23. Rowan Smith got 4 goals. I was there. It was at the MCG. St Kilda were up and about that year. That's the year they went the first 10 games undefeated, released a DVD box set. And we were pretty rubbish. We'd just got coming off the wooden spoon. But for some reason that day, everything clicked and we came good. It was a glorious match in the winter sunshine. So hopefully the June 12th, the Philippines Independence Day, that luck just really kicks in for us.
Wow. Say it, and it will be so. Is my current thought.
I think so. Hang on, I'm just going to tell you one more thing. A minute. It's hard on my phone. I've got to do that. So, Maligayang Araw Nkalayan to all our Filipino listeners. That means happy day of freedom. So, just hoping that vibe gets us through there. So, if tomorrow, just for good luck, if you see any Filipino restaurants, just go eat there. Go do something Filipino. You got a Filipino friend, just call them. Just, send them a text saying, hey, good luck. So we get all the good positive vibes of June 12th that we need against St Kilda. Well, we don't need it. We should win easily, but you never know with the Dogs and Saints. There has been a fair few upsets. Do you have anything to plug if you're in travel mode? You doing any fun gigs?
Well, for everyone who works in a business, it's obviously Men's Health Week this week. So if you are looking for someone to come out and chat to the team, health is more than just physical health. It's also mental health, which is obviously a lot of the speaking that I do. And I also have a couple of slots still for Are You OK Day, which is September. October's Mental Health Month. November is in November. So, yeah, if you've got any footy clubs or businesses that are doing events coming up for the rest of the year, feel free to reach out direct and I'll give you the Patreon discount.
Yes, and if you need a comedian for those as well, I know a guy. Anyway, good luck Thursday. Will you be back watching Boydie, or will you still be in Perth?
No, I'll be back Thursday.
All right.
Back late tomorrow night. And also, I do have one more thing to plug. I am going on the one and only Ads and Dunks podcast later tonight.
Really? You're going on our rivals.
Well, Adam plays for us, mate.
I know, but they're therefore a rival Bulldogs podcast.
Yeah.
You went on Broden Kelly's as well. Look at you. You've been all around the shop. Well, I'm going on The Project on Friday. They just axed the show, so they're deciding to bring out the big guns.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. That'll be you're actually on television.
On the television that no one watches.
Oh, well, maybe, but here's the thing. You must throw a spanner in the works and actually bring that
true.
Show back.
Channel 10 will watch that and go, what are we doing? We need him.
Oh, my God. The viewers just spiked.
Well, yeah, if all the Dogs fans can watch The Project on Friday, I'll be there promoting my Ukraine fundraiser comedy shows. So,
and also the Danny Boyd, please, because if you don't promote it on that show, then you will forever be a hypocrite.
Well, I don't know. You've gone on so many more shows where you've not promoted it.
I'll do it tonight on Ads and Dunks' podcast.
Excellent.
Probably will get the same amount of views.
Mate, you're playing the Marvel. You're playing Marvel Stadium. Like, you're on the field before the Tigers game next Sunday. That is our target demographic. That's where you got to plug. In fact, you should be wearing a T-shirt.
We need to talk about that because yes, I will.
Excellent.
I will. I actually don't know what I'm doing or why I'm there or anything like that, but be sure to say that I will be plugging the Danny Boyd show.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant. All right, Boydie. My kids are about to come home from school. Happy Bevo Re-Signing Day and Filipino Independence Day. And good luck, everyone. Hope your team wins.
Go Dogs.
Gave my childhood to that roar of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had two loves, the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there. And they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. Long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets.